Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the latest episode of South Park, Turd Burglars. And I really enjoyed this one. They did a really good job of keeping a tight story together and actually doing very good escalation of what was going on with the jokes. So we start off and we see that Kyle's mom Sheila is giving this presentation at the South Park Community Center when suddenly she starts vomiting and shitting herself. And it's like, okay, that's not good. Let's kind of see what's going on here. So they take her to the hospital. The doctor explains that it's C. diff to Kyle and Ike, and that the only way to fix this is to do a fecal transplant. And of course, Kyle and Ike are like, all right, we have to figure out a way to make sure that none of this gets out whatsoever. We then cut and we see that Sheila is essentially just going around in the grocery store pretty much telling anybody at will. They're like, oh yeah, because she's feeling so great and everything. Ike is just like, God damn it. Emptying out a chip bag and just covering his head like this is just so unbearable and just so screwy. And we then go and we see that her friends are like, hey, you look so great after doing the fecal transplant and everything. It's like, oh God, it's going on like a fad thing, isn't it? Oh, this isn't going to be good. And it's really weird because she says that it's done all this good stuff and like she was originally allergic to shellfish and she's like eating it. And I'm like, I don't think that's how that works, but okay, let's see how this goes. But it's like all these benefits and everything. And one of them approaches her, well, two of them mainly are like, hey, what if we wanted to do a fecal transplant and everything? It's like, I don't think. And Sheila, good on her, is like, that's not recommended to do without like a doctor or whatnot. And we see why later. But she shuts that down. It's like, no, okay, don't do that. No. While this is going on, we see that Kyle has procured a DVD kind of thing to help him kind of deal with trying to mitigate the ribbing that's going to occur once people learn that his mother had a fecal transplant. And of course it starts going through all this stuff like, oh, your microbiome has all these little critters and everything, and he starts freaking out because like, am I even me? Like half of you is you and half of you are these critters and everything, and he just starts freaking out. And this is where it starts getting into the other reoccurring joke throughout the whole thing of the whole Dune thing. And I really liked how they did it because it didn't hit you over the head with it. Now, granted, when they start going through the whole spice melange kind of thing, that is more built on repetition, but it's never kind of played out. It more just kind of reoccurs for certain characters to kind of be like, yeah, they're all really interested in this thing. And of course, it's a big staple of what was going on in the Dune movie, so it works here. And Kyle, of course, tries to talk to the doctor about it. He, of course, has the internal monologue of, oh, will somebody able to get the spice melange and everything like that? And evidently that's Tom Brady's microbiome, so it's like, okay, we'll have to see how that works out. So Kyle, of course, is telling his friends about all this stuff. I'm like, Cartman, of course, starts laughing and everything. He doesn't give a crap. When one of the people that wants Sheila's feces pretty much tries to bribe them into stealing the feces for the new Star Wars game. And I'm like, nice. And Kyle's like, no way, you're trying to bribe me to be a shit stealer. Well, the other three are like, I've heard good things about that game. I want that game. So they do an operation. They wait for Kyle's mom to go to the bathroom. They got it all set up and everything. And Kyle's like, are you stealing my mom's shit? And they're like whole talking about like what was going on, and Stan's like, is it gonna be enough shit? And Kyle's like, she's so fat, she's gotta be putting out 2-pounders. I'm like, yep, classic Hartman there. So they get it, they deliver it, and of course Harriet's feeling awesome. She was like, what the hell? I mean, I'm glad you're feeling awesome and everything, but they essentially go the whole turkey baster route. It's like, ah, shit. And of course, this then gets back to Mr. Mackey, and he calls in the three and like, I've heard you guys are being turd burglars and everything. And he's like, hey, it's a little bit kind of strange to kind of play only one copy of a game. I heard it's the single player game. What if all of you had one. And then he sets up that he wants them to steal Tom Brady's because that's the spice melange kind of stuff. And of course they're like, all right, let's try and do this. We cut over and we see that Tom Brady's having a press conference and everybody's just asking him about his poop. And he's like, I don't want to answer any questions about my poop. And then somebody's like, hey, what are you going to do after this? You going to go eat? It's like, I'm not going to tell you where I'm going to go, if I'm going to eat something, and if I could potentially shit, so that way you could steal my shit. And it's like, it just works pretty well. It's like, all right. So we got him set up, and everything else is kind of getting into place. Kyle is still having strange dreams about, like, this whole thing with a bookcase and everything. What's going on here with that? So we get to the resolution with what's going on with Sheila. The one woman did it and is now getting sick and everything, and of course everybody else starts getting sick, leading to this giant thing of going on in a restaurant because they improperly did the feces transplant. And then it pretty much takes over pretty much almost all of South Park. And the doctor's got all these people coming, and he's like, yeah, we don't have enough people to even do a feces transplant health-wise, and we're probably going to lose half the town. It's like, oh shit, that escalated quickly. So that then bucks on to what's going on with Tom Brady, where Cartman and Stan pretty much have Kenny being the friend that is dying and try and set up a kind of like Make-A-Wish scenario to get close to Tom Brady. And of course we also see the manager person, wasn't really given a title, pretty much talking about the spice melange in her head. Of course they go and they're pretty much put into it. His housekeeper like brings him in as well. We see Tom Brady has taken a shit, and we see like a frickin' Dune sandworm like in it because of Dune and all that. It's like, okay, go with that. And we see her talking into her head. We see Cartman talking into her head, like, why are these people doing all these pauses? And we see that some dude's there for an interview. We've got another kid that's dying who's like, I'm dying? And then, of course, the interview dude is pretty much there, and he tries to do his own little thing of being like, I'll protect you, Tom Brady. They're all here for your shit. He's like, oh, God, fine. Everybody, get out. I'm not doing this shit. Kyle, of course, then busts in because he's got blue eyes because his microbiome is telling him something. He gets past the bookcase, and we see that Tom Brady, I don't know how he has done this, but he makes it so I don't know if he has a plumbing system, because he says he stopped flushing his shit because everybody would keep breaking the pipes to get his shit. So he like takes his shit in the toilet. So I guess he just takes this room and pretty much stores his feces in this room. It's crazy, but it's funny. It's like, okay, and this kind of works because now South Park's got their whole thing, and they were saved because Tom Brady hoarded his feces behind a bookcase. It was just classic South Park. I really liked how they did this because it just took the adults, escalating it, because the biggest reason was that this whole thing occurred wasn't because it was bad feces, it's because everybody was using turkey basters, and you only use it to baste a turkey about once a year, and it's like filled with fucking bacteria. And I'm like, yep, stupid people doing stupid things, winning stupid prizes, here we go. And Kyle's whole lesson was, hey, I trusted my microbiome. This has taught me to kind of trust my gut a little bit more. I'm like, huh, classic kind of South Park moral of the story. Like, it just worked pretty well. A lot of the jokes really landed for me, and I really enjoyed how they did this. It just was a nice, tight story. There wasn't any kind of extraneous kind of B stories that were detracting from the A. It was all one nice, tight narrative with all the parts working together, and just was good, old-fashioned South Park. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.